Hello everybody, John Meadows here, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about lower back pain. I've been in the industry for a little over 30 years, and just by nature of all the mileage that I've put on, I've got a very fragile lower back, and I've had to use a lot of different strategies to kind of work around it. I suspect that many of you are kind of in the same boat. You might have some lower back issues you've had to deal with. It's very common. So one of the things that I've had to pay a lot of attention to is my hip flexors. Your psoas and iliacus, all these muscles, they get very tight, and those directly cause lower back pain. And I really look at that treatment as twofold. So I get a lot of deep tissue work done, which works. It's not a situation where you get deep tissue work done, though, and then poof, it's healed. You got to stick with it. I think it's important to mention that because a lot of people will feel better, then they just kind of stop getting treatment and they end up in the same position they were in before. So I get a lot of deep tissue work done, and then I do a lot of stretching after I train, and I think the post-training stretching has helped me personally. So I might train my legs or my abs, and then I will stretch my hip flexors, do 4 30-second stretches on each one. That seems to help me, but I have to stay on top of those things. Again, you can't just do it for a week and then expect everything to be great. You got to really stay on top of it. The other thing I would mention is just general posture. I mean, if you think about what you do most of the day, most people sit down for long periods of time, and if your posture is not good when you're sitting down, that creates tight hip flexors, which will lead to back pain. So you really want to pay attention. I don't think most people don't pay attention to this, but really try to get chairs that are ergonomically, that work better for your lower back, that you feel more comfortable in. Also, when you're sitting for long periods of time, just get up, walk around a little bit, do a quick stretch, keep everything loose. Don't sit down for 6, 7, 8 hours straight. There's nothing wrong with getting up and moving around a little bit. I know that sounds really simple, but think about it. How often do you do that? You get so wrapped up in your work and sitting on the computer and doing whatever it is you do that next thing you know, a day goes by and you've been sitting. I used to, when I worked at the bank, I used to sit down for long periods of times, and I would stand up and my hip flexors would almost cramp where they were so tight, and it was very uncomfortable. So think about your posture, okay? The other thing to remember is you have to train your abs. I was in a situation where I had some surgeries on my abdominal muscle. I couldn't really train them, and I think that contributed a lot to my lower back pain, my lower back problems. Having weak abdominals absolutely correlates to lower back issues. So you have to do what you can do to work your abs. I like to start personally with a lower ab exercise, do 3 or 4 sets, and then go to an upper ab exercise. A lower ab exercise is typically a leg raise, where you're pulling your lower body, your pelvic girdle up towards your torso, and an upper ab exercise would be the opposite. So you're taking your torso and you're moving more toward your pelvic girdle, like a crunch type movement. So try to do that 3 times a week just to keep those abdominals strong, and that'll help. The last thing I wanted to mention was just training. It'd be very easy for me to say my lower back hurts, I'm not going to train it. But there are exercises that I can do. So I can do hyperextensions, for example. I can do banded hyperextensions. I can do banded good mornings. There's a lower back machine here that I can use at Elite FTS at this gym. So there are, even though I can't do a heavy deadlift, there are exercises I can do. So you don't want to just abandon all movements because of a problem. You need to find things that will allow you to continue to work the muscle so that you don't get injured. Obviously, you have to be careful, but I can't deadlift, but I could do banded good mornings all day long, and it creates a crazy spinal erector pump. It's really good for your lower back. So just to recap, keep your hip flexors, pay a lot of attention to them. Try to get deep tissue massage on them. Try to stretch them after your training. Work on your posture, okay? When you're sitting for long periods of time, make sure you have good posture. If you're sitting for long periods of time, make sure you get up and you walk around, you stay loose, okay? Work your abs. Keep your abs strong. That'll greatly help your lower back. And the last thing, again, to sum it up, is continue to find exercises that will allow you to work your lower back without injuring yourself. That's it. Talk to you later.